Hey now, say now, welcome back to the Colorado Rockies franchise here on MLB The Show 26. I'm back, it's your boy Fargo, and after winning on opening day against the Marlins 4-2, the Rockies are looking to see how this season will unfold. We don't have a lot of expectations going into year one of the franchise, and as we get into simming the first couple games of the season, the Rockies go on a 5-game losing streak. So the season's over already. The ship is sinking quick, fast, in a hurry. They start off 1-5 after a pretty decent start to the year up to the 4-2 victory. And, the team, again, isn't put together well at this moment. And we've got a lot of work to do. And this first week of the season pretty much illustrates that. Jake McCarthy has been an absolute letdown to start the season. He's our leadoff hitter currently, and he doesn't have a hit yet. He's got a donut for an average in 17 ABs, so not off to a good start at all. Hunter Goodman is our best offensive player, arguably, and he's got a under 200 average and just 1 home run. Willie Castro, he's actually leading the team in batting average right now with an over 400 average, but again, he's only about 16 ABs into the year. The Rockies were 7-12 going into their first series against the defending champion Dodgers, and Jake McCarthy actually suffered an MCL sprain in this game, costing him about 1 to 2 weeks on the year. However, to much surprise, the Rockies actually won this game against the Dodgers, beating them 7-6 in the opening game of the series. They then followed this up with another victory over the defending champions, 7-3, taking the series against the Dodgers with 14 runs in 2 games through the series. They then had a critical situation at home, looking to get the sweep against the Dodgers. Victor Vognick's on the bump, trying to save and close out the Dodgers, but Andy Pages up with 2 on and no outs in the 9th. And on the very first pitch Vognick throws, Pages gets all of it. He smashes this one deep to center field, and that's going to fall for a 3-run home run, 482 feet, to give the defending champions the lead in the 9th as Victor Vognick blows the save, and the Dodgers says, you know what, we aren't going to get swept by the lowly Rockies. They jump out to a 5-3 lead here in the 9th inning. Rockies then decide to keep Vognick out there, and Freddie Freeman, he's going to send one through the gap. This one's going to get all the way to the wall as Andy Pages goes from first to home, and the Dodgers tack on an extra run in the 9th, taking a 6-3 lead as Victor Vognick implodes at home and blows the save. And the blown save does lead to a Dodgers victory as they avoid losing 3 straight to the lowly Rockies, but a pretty good start to the series so far. 2 straight wins with a chance to win the 3rd game here at home. So can't be mad at that whatsoever. They are the defending champions nevertheless. This game was actually the 4th game in the series as the Dodgers did win on Sunday 5-10, ultimately splitting the series 2-2 against the defending champions. They then had a series against the Padres, Mets, and then the Cincinnati Reds to close out the month, where they ultimately picked up another 4 wins going into the end of the month, finishing at 13-19. So not an absolutely terrible start to the year, but a losing record nonetheless through the first month of the season. After the first month, the Rockies find themselves 7.5 games back of the defending champion Dodgers in the National League West. Surprisingly, the San Diego Padres are last in the division currently, and the Rockies are sitting 5 games back of the wild card. Take a look at the pitching rotation. We have some guys that are pitching really well, as in Jose Quintana, but we also have some guys struggling, like Ryan Feltner. Ultimately, we decided to move Chase Dollander from the bullpen to the back end of the rotation, giving him an opportunity to start early on in the season. And the first look at Chase in this start is going to go against the Atlanta Braves, with the Rockies sitting at 16-20. Dollander's appeared in 15 innings so far with a 4.20 ERA and a 1.53 whip. The whip's a little high. ERA, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt considering he came out of the bullpen. Chase does get himself in a little trouble with 2 on with no outs in the first, but he K's Drake Baldwin looking and then comes back with Austin Riley with a high heat to get him to K looking, and then The last batter he faced in the inning to try to get out of the jam, he gets him to swing and miss on the ball low and in the zone, and Hunter Goodman throws him out, and Chase Dollander gets out unscathed. The lineup for the Rockies so far has been kind of up and down. Our top player, Hunter Goodman, is struggling, but Willie Castro, Troy Johnston, and Ryan Ritter all hitting over 300 early on in the season. And Goodman, he was up with 1 out in the first. He gets a hold of a slider that got way too much of the plate. He slaps this one in the gap, and he ends up with a stand-up double with 1 out in the first inning. The Rockies end up wasting an opportunity as Brendan Doyle, he swings out a fastball up in the zone, but he was late, ends up being a lazy fly, and the Rockies get nothing after the double. In the third inning, Dollander had to pitch himself out of some trouble again, as with 2 out and a runner on third, he gets Drake Baldwin to swing out a pitch low in the zone and gets a ground out to get out of the inning unscathed. The struggling Rockies offense were then looking to get some run support. Ryan Ritter was up, and Jose Suarez left the sweeper up in the zone, and Ritter tags this one, and this one goes to the gap, pretty much the same spot as Goodman's double, putting a runner in scoring position with no out. Then, one batter later, that runner's on third, where Ezequiel Tovar, he slaps a slider across the middle of the plate. This one goes to the other gap. It slow rolls to the wall, and Tovar with an RBI double to give the Rockies their first lead. Then, Jordan Beck was up 2 batters later. He slaps this one to the opposite side of the field. The outfielder struggles to field it, and he gets a stand-up double, plating another run, and the Rockies take a 2-0 lead over the Braves. After the 2-run third, the Rockies then had opportunity to plate more in the fourth. Brett Sullivan was up with runners on first and second. He swings and hits one right up the middle. They send the runner home, and the Rockies played another run to take a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the fourth inning. Then Chase Dollander was back up, and he was cruising at this point. He gets the star Ronald Acuna to swing and miss on a ball, striking him out, and Dollander, not quite unhittable, but he did have a quality start after allowing no runs through 5 innings. And the Rockies were then looking to put more run support on the board. Danny Young was on to relief, and Hunter Goodman takes him for a ride. Big shot deep to center field. 446 home run for the star catcher. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come as he looks to get off the slide he's been on so far. His 7th home run of the year. Then Mickey Moniak was up with 2 on, and he's going to slap this one to right field. That ball gets down. A runner scores easily, and the Colorado Rockies plate 5 runs on the really good Atlanta Braves team. The Rockies took that 5-run lead all the way to the 9th inning when Ronald Acuna was up with the bases loaded. He grounds one to third. It could have been a triple play, but the Rockies settled for the double play, and the Braves played their first run of the game. Then Drake Baldwin was up with 2 outs. He slapped one past the second baseman to plate the second run for the Braves before the Rockies decide to go to Victor Vognick for the 1-out save. Up against Austin Riley, he tries a circle change in the dirt. It gets away from the catcher, and the runner moves up 90 feet. However, it doesn't come back to hurt him as Victor Vognick get Austin Riley to strike out on a slider outside the zone, and the Colorado Rockies hold on to knock off the Braves 5-2 at home. They then come back to beat the Mets at home 7-6 to put together a 3 straight win streak, but however, they then go on to lose 4 straight, going into a weekend series against the Phillies. Ultimately, Victor Vognick has been a nightmare out of the bullpen in this closer role. With a 9.20 ERA, he's blown 6 saves in 16 opportunities, so we ultimately boot him from the closer role and move Brendan Bernardino from the middle relief spot up into the closing spot. We then put a claim on Ken Waldichuk. He's a C-potential 20-year-old relief pitcher that the Washington Nationals put on outright waivers, just trying to get some more arms in the organization. And a corresponding move, we end up waiving Patrick Weigel. He's currently in Double-A with just D potential. Doesn't look like he'll be part of our long-term future. We then had a critical situation against the Pirates. Bases loaded for Ezequiel Tovar, with the Rockies trailing by a run in the top of the 7th with 2 outs. Facing Isaac Madsen, Tovar works a full count, but swings at a fastball high in the zone. Appeared to be a little late on that one. He wastes the opportunity to plate some more runs, and the Pirates hold on for the victory, knocking off the Colorado Rockies after the critical situation. The final score is 7-5 as Paul Skeens gets his 4th win on the year and Michael Lorenzen takes his 3rd loss on the season. We then had another critical situation, this time against the Diamondbacks. Troy Johnson was up with Hunter Goodman on first. Bottom of the 9th inning, down 1 run. We turn to Tyler Freeman to pinch hit with an opportunity to potentially tie the game. With that runner on first, facing Kevin Ginko, he gets a fastball up on the hands, but he does just enough of it as he smacks this one to right field for a single, putting 2 on with no out. Then, with the bases loaded, Mickey Moniak, he's going to ground this one to second base. He does stop it, but he can't make a play. It ends up being an infield single, and the Rockies tie the game. And then, Brenton Doyle was up. He slaps this one to left field. It ends up being shallow, but they send the runner home anyway, and he is gunned down at the home plate. That ends up being a double play, wasting an opportunity with the bases loaded. The Rockies, unfortunately, were unable to plate the winning run and turned to Jimmy Hergert and extras, and he was absolutely lights out. He strikes out the first 2 batters he sees to keep the runner on second, and then with a full count, he gets another swing and a miss as he strikes out the side and extras to get the Rockies with an opportunity to walk it off in the 10th. And they wasted no time getting that winning run across the board. Jake McCarthy was up. He smashes a low fastball up the middle. They send the runner home. The throw was on time, but just off the line. And the Colorado Rockies wins it in walk-off fashion. And they tack on another W to the season. After the win, we did take a look at our lineup, and we see Hunter Goodman is currently on a hot streak, though he's still barely batting over 200, but he does have 13 home runs at this point in the year. Troy Johnson, and once again, he was surprised out of spring training. He's up to a 65 overall, hitting over 300. Ryan Witter, also someone who also has been off to a decent start, hitting over 300. However, the Rockies stood just at 22-34 before facing the defending champions once again. They do beat them to avoid the sweep, and they finished the month of May with a 24-35 record. So the Rockies were 400 after the end of April and were 400 at the end of May. They sat at 26-36 heading into this critical situation on the road against the Angels. Bases loaded with Jordan Beck at the plate. Angels up 1 with Kirby Yates on the mound here in the top of the 7th. 0-1 count after the fastball got through. Kirby Yates then tries to sneak another one past it, and Jordan Beck gets all over it. It goes, and it's gone. Jordan Beck with the grand slam off of Kirby Yates, and the Rockies take the lead late here in the game against the Angels, and that ultimately helps them hold on to knock off the Halos on the road. Big time swing by Jordan Beck there. And you know what? Look, we aren't going to win many games in a year, but hopefully we can win some in exciting fashion, and this is exactly that. Final score was 4-2 as Jose Quintana picks up his 5th win of the season, and Brennan Bernardino picks up his 5th save as the Rockies sweep the Angels on the road in Orange County. With us heading into June, we see our first blockbuster trade of the year as the San Diego Padres are trading Joe Musgrove, Adrian Morejon, Nick Castellanos, and Wandy Peralta to the Cincinnati Reds, and a move where the Padres are pretty much mailing in this season potentially, as Nick Castellanos does have a fractured leg, but they get Rhett Lauder back from the Rockies, or from the Reds. He's already made his debut. He's a B potential pitcher at 24 years old. They got Steele Hall, who's a top prospect in baseball, number 37 out of the top 100. And Brandon Williamson, a 27-year-old pitcher with B potential. So the trades are already coming in, but the Rockies picked up some wins, but also picked up a lot of losses. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you guys are looking forward to more Rockies content, and I'll see you guys next time.